So in the last videos, I showed you how to set up an account with BandLab. I showed you how to set up a classroom and invite students into your classroom. If you haven't seen those videos, please go ahead and click right here. I also showed you the very first lesson that I like to use with my students to get them comfortable with the mix editor in BandLab. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and click here as well. So today's video, I'm going to show you how to manipulate some of the loops in BandLab with stretching and shrinking, along with adjusting some volume levels. These are key important concepts that your students are going to need to know in order to make great music. As always, first thing we're going to do is go to BandLab's website. Remember that there are two types of BandLab. There's the public BandLab and then there's the education BandLab. Remind your students to always go to the edu.bandlab.com. You're going to want to constantly remind them just so they go to the correct one. First thing we want to do is log in, and we've already set up an account, so we can just go ahead and click the word log in. And as I mentioned before, I like to always log in with Google. I never want to type anything in, especially with your students, because if they forget their password and don't have access to their email, you have some major problems. So we'll just go ahead and click the G button. So the first thing I want to do is I want to first create the assignment, and then I'll walk the students through the assignment as well. So first thing we're going to do is go ahead and click the word create. And once you start making these assignments, we can go ahead and start using them as templates. But right now, we're just going to go ahead and add new assignment. In this assignment, we're going to label as stretching and shrinking. Remember, I like to leave the deadline alone because if you set a date, once that date passes, students are locked out of this assignment and they can't go back into it. So I just leave it alone. Let's go ahead and give instructions to it. I always keep the instructions pretty simple because I'm going to be walking the students through the assignment as well. So I kind of just give the key important parts to remind myself along with them. I wrote right here, say we're going to learn how to stretch and shrink loops, and plus we're going to learn how to adjust volume levels in the mix editor. We're going to go ahead and leave the attachment alone because we're going to want to have students have the freedom to create their own. I'll come back to attachments at a later time about what you can do with that. Let's go ahead and publish it. Once it's posted, we can click these three dots right here, and we can click the share button, and we can share it to our Google Classroom. Or you can just leave it alone and have your students log into BandLab, and it'll be right there waiting for them. Let's go ahead and see what students are going to say. When students log in, they're going to see the assignment posted right in the front of the latest activity, and they can easily see the instructions. Again, we've already wrote them out, and we'll go ahead and start assignment. Remember, we want to always have them click on teacher's assignment because this allows you to have access to see it and grade it. So we'll go ahead and click it. Give it a few seconds for it to load. Since BandLab is going to be kind of new for your students, you're going to want to walk them through the process again of how to start the assignment. And remember, just click the little side to get rid of that area. Remind your students that the assignment brief is always going to show up first to remind students what the assignment is, and they can easily hide this by clicking the green button down below. Alright, so our assignment was to stretch and shrink sounds. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to find some loops. Going to the bottom right, we're going to go ahead and click on the word loops. Last time, we used a pack from the favorites over here. Today, let's give our students a little bit more freedom and go to the word packs. Remember, packs are like folders, and this is every single folder or pack in BandLab. We can easily have them choose any one we want. If we want to steer them in a certain way, we can go to the search button here and type in a certain genre of music to help guide them along. I'm going to go ahead and type in the word disco and click on the very first one, classic disco here. And let's go ahead and start building a song. First thing I want to do is grab a drum beat, and I know it's drums by first the name of it, plus on the second column here I can see that it says the word drums. BandLab makes it super easy to add sounds to its mix editor by simply dragging and dropping. So now I have my drum beat right there. Let's go ahead and hide the loop folder for a second and move this to the beginning. Let's go ahead and listen to it. Awesome. Love the drum beat. Very classic disco. Only problem is it lasts for about 4 seconds. Well, no song is 4 seconds long, so we need to stretch it. We need to make it longer. If you look at the actual sound file, not only can you see the sound wave, but you can see on the right-hand side, there are two kinds of icons. The one on the top right is the loop icon, this kind of circle with a arrow. If I hover my mouse over it, you can see that the mouse changes. And now by clicking and dragging, I can now stretch that loop to be much, much longer. And I can make it as long as I like or bring it back to the original length. For right now, we'll just make it 9 measures long. So now the beat will go on much longer. Perfect. Let's add some more loops here. So I'm going to go back down to the loop tab there, and let's add a bass to it. And again, I know it's a bass because of the name of it, plus the second column says the word bass. Let's go ahead and drag one in. And let's be a little more efficient here as well. Let's go ahead and grab a guitar and a keyboard. And we'll even grab one little percussion here. So now we have almost a full disco band. All right, let's go ahead and have all these sounds start at the beginning. And let's rewind it and hit play. Awesome. Sounds great. Now, a couple problems that you can see right now is that no song starts like that. So let's go ahead and build this a little bit better here. First thing I want to do is let's go ahead and also stretch this bass so it's the same length as the drums. But I don't want my guitars coming in at the very beginning. I want to go ahead and just move them over so it starts at a different time. With my keys, I'm going to go ahead and have them start at a different time as well. And my percussion, let's have it start at number 3 here. You'll notice that when I move my loop, that white line moves along with it, and at the very top, you have your ruler. This kind of allows you to keep track of what sounds are starting on what measures. Each number is a measure. In this case, 4 beats in a measure, so 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 it creates 4 measures. Now let's go ahead and listen to it again. Rewind it, hit play. Sounds awesome. However, one thing I didn't like though is, you know what? I didn't want my keyboard to be that long. You know, it was too long for what I wanted. I just wanted a nice short pop and then get out of the way there. So if I go ahead and click on the keyboard, my 2 icons come up again. Remember the top right one, that circle with the arrow, is the loop or stretch tab. And if I go to the bottom one, it kind of looks like a bracket with an arrow. That allows me to start cutting and erasing some of the loops. Now, you'll notice that when I start moving it to the right or to the left, I'm actually getting rid of all these extra sounds, and it's going to now shorten the loop to be a much shorter sound. I can even go to the very beginning of that loop, and I can cut from this side as well and only have it be that small little section. If for some reason I make a mistake, I can always just go ahead and click on the undo button and make any fixes to it. One really cool feature about the shrink button is that once you have shrunken your sound, you then can go to the top, that stretch button again, and now stretch the brand new loop that you've just created, the modified loop. Notice it's not the same stretched out one as before. I've now modified it, and now I can loop the new modification. One key thing I want you to notice is that when I go to the bottom corner and I actually stretch this, I'm no longer looping that sound. I've definitely made the loop longer. However, you'll notice there's no sound waves after it. Once the keys are done playing, it's just done. So you're not really looping it. Try to remind your students that what they need to do is if they want to loop a sound, they should grab the top corner, that circle, and if they want to modify the sound, they need to grab the bottom corners. There we go. So now I have my completed new song. Let's go ahead and listen to it. Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, get into that disco mode right there. Sounds great. All right, so now we now know how to shrink and stretch sounds. However, if you'll notice right away, when I play my sound again, this percussion sound is way too loud. This tambourine is way too loud. It's almost taking over. It's almost like a tambourine solo. Oh my goodness. Doesn't that sound like a nightmare right now? A tambourine solo? Whew. Let's listen to it again and listen to this super loud tambourine. Yeah, we definitely need to turn that volume down. So on the left-hand side are your tracks. And great thing about BandLab is that it's super easy to understand which track goes with what. They kind of go right in a left to right horizontal, almost like you're reading kind of way. My first track right here is my drums. Again, the name of it is labeled, and I can always click on that name and just change the name to drums. That way I keep it a little more organized. I can again always click on the name of it and change this to bass. And I can do the same if I wanted for all of them, but I won't for now. And right below the name is the volume bar. And what I love about BandLab is it actually gives you the dB, the volume decibels. Some other free DAWs can do the same, however, they don't tell you what volume you're at, which can make it really difficult if you're trying to create a multi-track song and you want to make sure that you're not clipping or going too loud. So this is a great way to measure your volume, and BandLab did a great job of letting you know the actual volume of your track. One thing that I tell my students all the time is that not all sounds are created equal. Some sounds are more important than others. Think of most songs on the radio. Vocals are probably the most important thing on a track. You want to be able to hear the singer sing the song. If the guitar or drums were too loud, you would not be able to hear the singer, and no one would want to hear that song. So it's important to make sure that you remind your kids that not all sounds are created equal, and have them get into the habit of always adjusting volume levels into their tracks. It's one of the most important features as a music producer and as a music creator. The bottom track here, that tambourine was way too loud, so I'm going to go ahead and just change the volume to it. I'll bring it down about 6 decibels, 7 decibels, and see how that sounds. Let's go ahead and rewind it and listen to it again. Much better. And when I look here, the keys are a little loud too, and I can go ahead and adjust it as it's playing. It doesn't stop the song play. Great thing about BandLab is that, again, they wanted to make sure to keep it super and simple for you. So I love that I can change the volume as the song is playing. That way I can get a real-world view of what my song is going to sound like. Since it's disco, let's crank that bass up. Oh, sounds great. Absolutely love it. Before we click the submit button, I want you to listen to this one last time, but keep your eye on this area right here. The top part is your master volume, the overall volume of the track, and right below is your meters. If you look at the meters, you'll see that I'm going into the red, and even that red little dot right there is telling me that my song has clipped. Clipping means that you've maxed out your volume, and when you go to export this or download the song, basically, it's going to have some major distortion and it's not going to sound great. There's 2 ways to adjust this. I like to do it this way for my students, is simply adjusting the master fader. Once you have your volumes matched perfectly here, just go ahead and drop the master fader until you're no longer clipping. That's the easiest way for students to understand. You wouldn't want them to go ahead and just start adjusting each volume and trying to keep track of, did I turn this one down? Did I not turn this one down? That can be a little confusing for them. So once they have their volume set perfectly here and they see their clipping, just go ahead and tell them to lower the master volume and everything will be fine. All right, so we learned how to stretch and shrink sounds. We learned how to adjust volume levels. We even got a bonus tip with our master volume and clipping. Go you. Let's go ahead and click the save button first. Always remind your students to click save, save, and save in case anything happens. And now we can go ahead and submit it. Alright, so that does it for this assignment here. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. If you want to see some more videos, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and to ring the bell. That'll let you know when a new video is released. Leave a comment as well and let me know about any questions or problems that you might be having. And remember to have fun making music. Thanks for watching.
Be strong. Be strong.